Good evening and welcome. On behalf of Speak Up and Vote, thank you for being here. I'm Pam Ford, Executive Director. Speak Up and Vote is a nonpartisan organization whose sole purpose is to engage disenfranchised and unrepresented communities. Our goal is to ensure that they are registered to vote, encourage them to be informed about their civic participation. We're not here to support a party. We are not here to endorse a candidate. We're here to create access, increase awareness, and make sure every voice has the opportunity to be heard. Tonight's forum is about transparency, accountability, and leadership. It's about giving the community a chance to hear directly from those seeking public office for sheriff, and giving candidates an opportunity to speak clearly about their vision, priorities, and commitment to the people that they serve. Because we believe that an informed voter is a powerful voter, and access to information strengthens our democracy. Now let's begin. All right, we're rolling. Okay. Again, I'm Pam Ford with Speak Up and Vote Executive Director. And then I have with me
Sherry Williams, also with Speak Up and Vote.
Yes. So tonight we are having our Sheriff's Candidates Forum. And just in full disclosure, we did invite the two Republican candidates, Justin Fialco and James Riley, and we never did get a response back from them. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome the two of you here, the two Democrat candidates. So I want you to introduce yourself and tell the public who you are. And we'll start with you since you're right here next to me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My name's Dan Jungles. I'm running for Will County Sheriff. I've been with the Will County Sheriff's Office going on 27 years, and I'm the current undersheriff. I don't know how much you want me to get into.
That's fine.
But you know, I'm running. The previous 8 years, I was a deputy chief, and when I was put into that position, you know, Sheriff Kelly said to me, "Run your division the way you'd want it run, and you know, if you need money or something along those lines, come to me. But otherwise, make it your own." And that's what I've done. And throughout the course of my career as deputy chief, I've revamped some programs, created some others, and I want to bring that to, you know, across the board to the sheriff's office instead of just the one particular section of the sheriff's office. So that's basically one of the reasons why I'm running.
Wonderful. All right.
All right. My name is Patrick Jones. I've been at the sheriff's office for over 24 years. During my tenure with the office, I've worked corrections. I've worked patrol division, crime scene investigator. I was a SWAT operator, SWAT sniper. I'm currently assistant team leader with our crisis negotiation team. I currently hold the position of sergeant on the east side of Joliet. Some of the things, the reason why I'm running, because I believe that the sheriff should be in the community more, coming to community events, talking to people, and together we can work on the problems that we come up with. I also believe in truth and transparency. That's why any use of force from a deputy against someone in the community, that video should be released for an appropriate amount of time, along with statements. I also believe that we should be putting forth mental health programs for our deputies. 2021, when the Safety Act was brought about, this was supposed to be implemented. We currently don't have anything in place. We've had 3 suicides in our office. One body I had to go identify.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the Wadid homicide. Now, you running into a building, seeing that knife in somebody's chest, that 6-year-old kid's chest, that hits different. So I want to put something in place for the deputies and also teach them how to work with people who are going through a mental health crisis. I also believe, and no one else is saying this, that program should be down in the jail. I toured DuPage County Jail, toured Cook County Jail. They all have programs such as small injury repair, welding. I believe this can reduce recidivism. I'm a strong believer of that, and I'm sticking to my roots in that.
Wonderful. Did you get a hold of our question?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you all very much for introducing yourselves. And we're just going to go right in. We're just going to have a conversation.
Okay.
Sure.
We're just going to have a conversation. Great intros.
Mhm.
And I think that our questions that we tailored towards you two fits right into what you all said, what you all conveyed here. Okay, so the first one is about voting access in the jail. will you all implement voter registration and voter education in the jail for eligible individuals before the November election? And what steps will you take to make that happen? Because that's what we're concerned with. So that's the first question. Jungles.
Yep. I've been part of these conversations for quite a while when it comes to voter registration. I firmly believe that we need to implement programs to have the inmates at the jail vote, educate them as well. There has to be a balance between what works for us and what works for you. But I fully support having programs like that in the jail for you guys to come in. I know when this last election, one of the first conversations that the sheriff had after that last election was from the county clerk, and she basically said we're not going to move forward with putting voting in the jail. It's my understanding she's turned that stance around, and
With some help.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
with a little arm
exactly.
twisting,
Yeah,
I'm sure,
yeah,
for
yeah.
you guys. That is going to happen. So I'm very very grateful to hear that is happening, and I fully support moving forward, making sure that we can educate our inmates at the jail, because when you're locked up in a jail, there's not you're kept outside of a lot of things. But the one thing that you can rest assured, until you reach that point to where you don't have a right to vote, you still have a right to vote.
Absolutely.
And we need to ensure that our democracy stays our democracy, and let individuals vote.
Okay.
This should have been done a long time ago. The people down there are detainees. They haven't been convicted of anything. So why are we snatching away their rights to vote? Goes back to my programs that I want to put in the jail. My mother used to always tell me idle hands is a devil workshop. Why do we not have these programs in the jail? I do not understand it. Do we want to go and have people go into the jail to make a better criminal, or do we want them to come out and change their life, give them some type of opportunity? So yes, I agree with 110%.
So this is a great segue, Sherry, into how we got, because the clerk didn't just do this on her own.
Oh, I know.
Okay. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I know the story.
Okay, so Sherry is going to share the story.
Well, and in all honesty, she actually did call me in because she knows how important this is to us. And by the way, the reason that there's in-person voting in the jail is because of Speak Up and Vote.
Sure.
We did lobby and we got the legislation changed. So,
Yep.
Thank you.
but she did contact me, and she said that they were trying to decrease the number of polling places that they had, and she wanted me to know that the jail was one of them. I was not really happy about that, of course, but she assured me that come the next election, which is now, she would then reinstitute it. So I knew that she was new in office, and there was a lot of commotion going on at that time. So I told her I would go along with it that time. And only that time. And so she's a woman of her word, apparently.
Yep.
And so she did tell me, as a matter of fact, she contacted me back in the fall to tell me that this was going to happen. So I was very happy about that. So, and I have a really good relationship with Ms. Parker.
Sure.
I really do.
So we're grateful for that.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. All right, Sherry.
All right. Secondly, you guys mentioned the Safety Act. That is one of our questions. How has the Safety Act changed operations at the Sheriff's Department, and what is working, what's not, and what changes would you guys like to see? We start with you, Mr. Jones.
Okay. So as far as the Safety Act, it decreased our population down in the jail. Some of the changes that I would like to see, we're getting this increase of financial crimes, and it's attacking what I consider our protected population, the older people. If we can have clear evidence that this person has committed this crime, as far as that money went into their bank account, I would like that to be held as collateral, and it was taken from that elderly person. So that's one of the things I would like to see. As far as everything else, I think the Safety Act, as far as decreasing the population, that's helping. And I don't feel like if Dan has money and I'm indigent and we committed the same crime, he gets to go because he's financially stable and I'm not.
And I think that's one of the things that people confuse too, because I constantly remind people that although, it's the Safety Act is the reason that we had to let them go, but if they had money and they posted bond before, they would have been let go just the same. So I don't think people realize that. They just kind of see it that way.
Yep.
Any increase in crime?
I haven't seen any increase in crime. It's been consistent, So, but the judges do a great deal. What I've seen, if they see that they're gonna be a problem to the community, they are keeping them.
Okay,
So,
good. Mr. Jungles?
Yeah, there's the Safety Act is one of those topics that there's a lot of misinformation on, right? There's a lot of, when that bill was first written, I think a lot of the issues people had were how it was kind of shoved down everyone's throat right at the last minute. All these politicians are given a 600-page document and expected to read it within 2 hours and then sign off on it. There's been a lot of changes made to the Safety Act since the original inception. And I support a lot of those, a lot of the things in the Safety Act. One of the things that's really great, the body cameras, holding police accountable. There's a way now to decertify bad police officers. There's a lot of different things that in the no cash bail thing. Patrick touched on it perfectly. It wasn't a fair system. The one good thing that people don't talk about with the Safety Act is even if people are to bond out now, they're going to, if you bond out on, say you murder somebody and before you bonded out on $10,000 or $50,000, whatever the case may be, you bond out, no one knows where you're at, right? No one knows where you're at. You could be out committing other crimes somewhere else. But now you wear an ankle monitor. So now we know where you are all the time. Okay. So if you're out there, doing a shooting or if you're out there, robbing people, we're gonna know where you're at just based on those on the ankle monitor. When the body cams came into place, the Will County Sheriff's Office was, we had body cams before it was even mandated, right? And they paid for themselves the first 3 months we had them because we had 2 officer-involved shootings. We had a mass casualty incident of a homicide here in Joliet Township, where a bunch of people were murdered in a mass shooting. And when you see the chaos and you become part of that crime scene, and it goes a long way, especially when it comes to the court systems in the state's attorney's office when they're prosecuting those cases. Some of the things I don't like, some of the non-detainable offenses. There's 2 in particular which I really dislike, and I've already talked to state representatives and senators about how we can better change this, because when you steal a car, you're not going out for a joyride anymore. When you steal a car, when people steal cars now, they're going out to commit more crimes. They're going out to commit a shooting. They're going out to commit a murder. They're going out to, rob an ATM out of a bar. They're using these stolen cars as a conveyance of further crime, and that's a non-detainable offense. So you basically get a ticket now if you steal a car. Same with if you bury a body in your backyard, that's a non-detainable offense. How does that make any sense? There are certain things that need to be addressed, but for the most part, it's doing what it intended to do. Our jail population has decreased substantially. There were times when we were north of 600 people in our jail. Last I saw, we had about 485 people in our jail. So it is working. It is doing a good job of holding the judges accountable, the state's attorneys accountable, and the police accountable.
Okay.
Thank you. And that was the intent.
Yes.
That was the intent. And you sort of touched on this, Patrick. What is the policy for releasing body camera or surveillance video after serious incidents? Who decides? And in your opinion, what timeline should the public expect?
Okay, you want me to go on this one? Okay, so I've been on several incidents. I've been on officer-involved shootings. Something like that with a single body camera, maybe 2 or 3, I say within 72 hours. That should be released along with a statement. Now, I also was on the Homer Glen when we had an active shooter. Now, we had upwards to 20 deputies respond with that to that incident, along with other agencies. So in that incident, we'll pull not only body cam footage, squad camera footage, we had a drone deployed, we'll pull that footage. Something with that much data to download, I would say no later than a week. And that should be released to the people. I understand fully, we get our power from the people. If they do not trust us, that is it. We're no longer effective as police officers. So I want to get that data out. I do not want to hold it.
I have a different, I shouldn't say I have a different perspective, but I have an actual life perspective when it comes to this, because I've been part of those conversations for a bunch of years. If elected sheriff day one, the first thing I'm going to do is make it a policy to release all body worn cameras within 7 days of officer involved shootings and critical incidents. I believe that gives us enough time to redact the information that needs to be properly redacted. And it takes the power away from other individuals that have a say in the matter. Because, what people don't understand a lot of times, we have attorneys. The state's attorney's office, civil division is our attorney when it comes to civil matters at the state's attorney's office. So when we release FOIA information or any kind of videos, we have to go to them first. And it's always kind of been their stance: don't release the videos because it could taint the jury pool. It's evidence. They give a litany of answers as to why not to release the video, and I disagree with that, because if you don't put that information out, people are going to create the narrative for you.
Absolutely.
And that's the last thing I want as a sheriff. I don't want people to make up stories. I don't want misinformation. I don't want there to be an incident where people are saying, "Oh, it's a police cover-up," because they're not releasing the information. I've shown families body worn camera videos of officer involved shootings, and after it was all said and done, I had a woman come up to me. It was the grandmother of one of the individuals involved in this, gives me a hug and says, "I'm so sorry your officers had to go through that. Please let them know." And, that means a lot to me as a law enforcement professional, because, as awful as these incidents are, and as sometimes as chaotic, and it affects everybody. It affects the officers, it affects the family members, and it affects the victims of the crimes. And we're not doing justice if we don't get that information out for there to be closure for everybody.
So I think you two saying pretty much the same thing within like 7 days.
Yes.
You think? Yeah. So that's a good thing. So you're both in agreement.
Yes,
with
absolutely.
releasing the video.
Yeah.
Okay. Chair.
All right. And touched on this a little bit, community trust. What specific actions will you take to improve trust between the Sheriff's Department and the Black and Brown communities? And how will you measure the results? So we'll start with you, Mr. Jones.
All right. Yeah, we don't do enough community outreach at the sheriff's office. I truly do believe that. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is because we're so spread out and vast, right? We're not like the city of Joliet, where you have one community, one home base, because we cover from Indiana to the other side of the county. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit difficult to have community events when you maybe only have an HOA, or you have different organizations that are reaching out to you. I firmly believe that as a sheriff's office, we need to be the leaders within the county. Whoever reaches out to us, it doesn't matter to me if it's an organization that is entrenched in the city of Joliet, the city of Naperville, Manhattan. It doesn't matter. We're here to assist and and help out and try to solve any of the issues that we can. As far as the Black and Brown communities go, one of the issues that I've seen throughout the years is we don't have a good enough representation of those communities within the sheriff's office. And one of the things I would like to do, and this is not something that can be done now, but when the next sheriff gets elected, because there's another entity above the sheriff's office when it comes to hiring, and that's the Merit Commission, right? For as far as I can remember, it's always been white males in charge of the Merit Commission. That is part of the hiring. That is part of the promotional exam. I would like to put a person of color on that board, because I think we can pool from different candidates in different organizations if we have a different mindset on that board instead of the mindset that we've had for quite a long time.
Okay, Mr.
Thank you.
Jones.
Okay, well, I spoke about being in the community, going to see some to these community events and working with them on their problems. Joliet does a great thing right now because I've been going around speaking to different communities. They take their officers off the street, 2 or 3, to go to these community events, and they give them a briefing of everything that has been happening in their community. They also ask them what are the problems that are going on, and they'll say something as small as, "Hey, it's graffiti going on here," or "Some drug dealing where we believe in this house." They get right on that to try to combat that crime. As far as Black and Brown, our sheriff office has suffered from that as far as in command position, to the mayor commission, to our regular bodies out on patrol. Diversity is our friend. I'm telling you this right now. We do computer-based training, and they teach us this every year, how diversity helps us, but we do not adhere to it in the police department. Last forum, I talked about diversity in our upper chain of command, as far as undersheriff, chief of police, or chief in special operations. I heard that people throughout the office was showing this video. Look through 1 minute to 18. Look what he's talking about. Showed it to majority of the white police officers. They came back and told me. Didn't show it to anyone of color. So I believe that's a problem. So I pray he keeps his word if he does get in. He fix it.
Wow. And that's one of the issues that's that we have in the community, that we don't see enough, but we don't see the sheriff's department enough in the community, period. And then the other thing is that we don't see enough people of color. And I know when I was a kid in school, it was always the officer friendly, this was the police, but you can create your own program as an outreach program in the community. Because at the end of the day, like Sherry and I always say, the sheriff's department is a huge department that deals with the people that get arrested, outside, especially when it's, like the Preston Heights or some of the other areas, that's the unincorporated areas. So I really hope that you all would implement a program for outreach, because it's something that's needed, and we will hold you to that.
Well, right now, I'm part of the BPOA, and we do
And what is that?
Black Police Officer Association.
Okay.
And we go around and we teach people about their rights. And during the summertime, we were up in Evergreen, giving out food, book bags. So I am in the community now, just off of my organization. Now, I know it says Black Police Officers Association, but we have white people, we have Hispanic people part of that organization. So it's just not all Black officers. It's a mixed, diverse group. But that's what we do. We go out, we teach people about their rights, teach them how to interact with the police appropriately, and how to file complaints. That's being transparent.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, Sherry.
All right. What are the biggest challenges inside the sheriff's department right now, and how will you address them? And secondly, how will you hold staff accountable and improve overall leadership? Let me start with you, Mr. Jones.
Okay. Well, one of the biggest problems is the jail, the population. That is a tough beat to walk. I think the working procedure down there is antiquated, because we still do it when you were down there. They rotate forward, and you don't spend enough weekends with your family. I would like to see them go to 12-hour shifts. I would try to work tirelessly with the unions and see if we can get that.
Now, isn't staffing a problem with that, though?
Well, we'll get the staffing up to do so. But you know why it's the staffing? We have lost between 30 to 40 people to DuPage or to other agencies that have these 12-hour shifts. So maybe if we implement that, we can maintain that. Leadership comes from the top. Me being the sheriff, I can't be out here doing stupid stuff, or my command staff can't be out here doing crazy stuff. Because if they see that, they'll say, well, how are you going to hold me accountable? I will hold myself to the highest degree of being professional. And even if I will meet with anybody, like now with my campaign, I'll meet with 1 person to 10 people. And if you want to have a hard conversation with me, we have it. This is the way you fix problems in the community.
Mr. Jungles?
Yeah, Patrick's not wrong. The jail is one of the biggest issues. and it has been for quite some time. I fully support. That the problem with the jail right now is we are about 30 deputies short of being to full staff. So it makes it very difficult to do other things at the jail outside, especially like.
I know we have a hard enough time voting in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's because we're 30 personnel short. And a lot of it, the jail itself, a lot of people, they look at that as a stepping stone. We get a lot of people that start their careers out in the jail and then go be the police somewhere else. And that's something that has been since the dawn of time at the jail. A lot of things changed right after COVID. That really affected the jail wholeheartedly because, prior to COVID, we were getting our personnel back up there, right? But now we're at the point where, a guy like myself, Patrick, at the same time, we were parts of groups that started at that jail. A lot of those individuals are starting to retire now. So there's a different kind of employee coming in, and we really have to market that job better. I don't believe I wholeheartedly believe we don't do a good enough job of marketing ourselves to the community, and a lot of that falls on it's kind of a 50-50 split. The Mayor Commission and the Sheriff's Office, they are in charge of hiring and promoting and whatnot. But we still have a voice in the matter, and we can go to all these different community events. We can go to different schools. It's been the same old thing for us for many, many years, where all we're doing is advertising in the blue line and getting the same type of employees. There's a lot of different avenues for individuals at the Sheriff's Office to, if you like to do this, you can go do that. If you like drug work, you can go do that. If you like traffic, you can go do that. But we don't do enough in the jail itself because it's kind of all the same thing. So I would like to create, different divisions within the jail for different jobs for different people. One of my things that I'd like to do in the jail, and I totally disagree with Patrick's theory about small injury repair. Totally disagree with that, because my thought process, and as a sheriff, you have to you're in charge of the security at the jail. That's your number one priority. The Safety Act has pretty much made it to where the only people in our jails are the most dangerous criminals, are the most violent offenders. Why would I give them a hammer? Why would I give them a screwdriver to use as a weapon against our own staff or our own inmates? We just had a melee not too long ago in the jail. It was a like 5-on-5 attack on inmates there at the jail where they're ganging up on people, and that's our priority, okay? And the one thing that I would like to do in the jail itself to kind of change some of the things is, the staff that we have for our medical staff, right? They're an outside company. We're paying millions of dollars for an outside company that's been bankrupt several times to provide medical service to the inmates. Why can't we do that ourselves? We have a health department. We have nurses that we can hire. We have doctors that we can hire. Let's do it in-house. It may be a little expensive on the front end, but in the long end, it's going to pay off in the long road because it's going to be our employees that we're going to be able to work with and control. It's not going to be an outside agency who has their own policies and procedures. It'll be our own.
Going back to that. So if you were to tour the jail, you'll see that these tools are restricted movement to only that station. So they're chained to something to where you can work. So you can't strike anybody. They've had 0 incidents with this. So these tools.
And you say this is being done at other places?
Be done right now at DuPage. It's being done right now at Cook County. So these movements of these tools are restricted. They are tied down, and you can't hit anybody. But I can understand why you have concern, but that's why I went to go tour to see these things. See, because that was one of my concerns. Well, what if safety is first, primary, right? So, but when I saw how they restricted, I said, okay, it's safe. It's good to go. And not only that, they vet these inmates. They're not going to let someone who's been in like 12 fights going, no, you got to get your behavior together. So that's important to go and see what other jails are doing. And the main thing is, I don't care who you is, if this person get 10, 15, 20 years, if they are of age, which is normally between 20 to 30 years old, they will be back in our communities. How do you want them to come back?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, Mr. Jungles, I just had a question for you. So, since we have I agree with the safety aspect of it. We do have to protect everybody. But if we don't allow them to do anything, then there's nothing.
No, we have since 1979. We've had the Center for Correctional Concerns in the jail.
And
They
we
do
what kind of?
Well, they do a lot of different programs. They educate with GEDs. They give support to the inmates as far as counseling, whether it be drug and alcohol, whether it be anger management. They do arts and crafts. So, I mean, it's not like there aren't programs in the jail. There's just not that kind of program in the jail.
Well, let me ask you this. And I think what you're saying is some of them are annoquated.
Yeah, arts and
Okay.
crafts.
Yeah. So
I mean,
my
you said I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
Now you teaching about go out and
I don't know.
I want these people to go out and
Yeah.
work and be productive
Productive.
citizens.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I 100% agree with that.
Absolutely.
And that's everyone's goal. Is
For sure.
we don't want people to keep coming back in our jail.
Right.
Because I would love it if we didn't have crime, but
Mhm.
it is what it is when it comes to that.
Okay, so let me ask you this, since you are the undersheriff and you are in a position because you said the sheriff gave you that responsibility.
That was when I was a deputy chief.
Okay, so now,
Yes.
so with now, what is it what have you recommended to the sheriff
Well,
as far as changes?
Sure. One of the, I don't know what it was, my second day,
Mhm.
maybe my third day, I can't remember because it all kind of, it's
You
only
say
been
third day for what?
as undersheriff.
Okay.
I've only been the undersheriff for about a month now.
Mhm.
I sent out an email to all staff. Hey, look, this is what I would like to happen. I want to start a peer support group for the Will County Sheriff's Office. I want mental health services for our deputies. Who is interested in being a peer support person? And I sent it out to all 600 plus employees at the Will County Sheriff's Office, and I got an overwhelming response from everyone from the jail to the patrol to our court security people,
Of course.
from civilians who want to be a part of this group. So I took all their information. I sent out another email. Okay, look, we have your information. This is what I plan on doing. Right now, I'm in the process of applying for a grant to pay for this stuff.
Mhm.
I've been very successful in applying for many grants throughout the last few years. Millions of dollars have been obtained from grants that I've helped write.
And what did they do? And what did you do with them?
Well, a couple different grants. There's the Will County Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition grant that was over $1 million. I think it was $1.6 million that was given to us to help educate youth on the dangers of alcohol and drug addiction and opioid addiction, that sort of thing. So it was basically an educational program specifically targeting just youth.
Now, where is that? You talking about youth as far as not the Will County? Were you talking about that being done at?
Everywhere throughout the county. So our main focus, because of the opioid epidemic at the time when we got this grant, was Lockport Township and Joliet Township. So those were kind of the mecca, for lack of a better word, to focus on, right? Because those were the schools that we were going to be working with. So we got into the schools in Crest Hill because they funnel into they funnel into Lockport. Homer Glen, we got into those. We got into Lockport. We got into some of the grade schools in Joliet because we wanted to help alleviate this epidemic of opioids so people would be able to educate themselves, not only just the kids, but the parents as well, because we created a hidden in plain sight trailer, what we call it the HIPS trailer. It's basically a trailer that's a mocked up bedroom of a child, and we educate the parents this is where your kid's going to be hiding their drugs. This is where they're going to, you see this Coke can over here? Well, it's not really a Coke can, that sort of thing. We also got a grant for a deflection grant a few years ago, where if inmates that are coming out of the jail, to get them a job, to get them on their feet, we'll give them clothes, we'll give them haircuts, we'll give them a ride to a job interview through this deflection grant.
How successful has that been?
I don't have the numbers on me, but I know the first year, because we got into it late, so it was only like July to December is when we reported.
Last year?
This would have been the first year, so this would have been almost 2 years ago. Well, it'd be 2 years this July.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had 36 people that we assisted at that point.
Mm-hmm.
We've been using the funds for that grant to pay for mittens and gloves and hand warmers to give to the homeless population in Joliet Township. So there's a lot of good work that people don't know that we do, and a lot of that's grant funding. And that's one of the things that I want to continue to do as sheriff, is utilize a lot of grant funding to help pay for programs, to help pay for personnel, to help pay for equipment that we can utilize.
Did you want to respond?
Yes. The only programs that we are teaching like that, and I'm one of those certified teachers, is the Homer Glenn schools.
No, that wasn't the one I was talking about.
Okay, so that program we're teaching in the Homer Glenn schools. My children go to a school in the east side. My grandchildren go to a school in the east side of Joliet. We are not teaching it there. It's only Homer Glenn.
So what about the Joliet schools?
The Joliet schools, I'm trying to think if we were in any. I don't believe we were. The only Joliet schools we were doing were, we had a couple of community events at Joliet West, and we had them at Joliet Central, where we had forums that came in. Parents would come in. We did one at the Lincoln Way schools as well. But I don't think we were actually in any.
We're not in Fairmont.
Joliet ones.
We're only in
No.
Homer Glenn.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking. So that was then, and thank you for that. But moving forward, what is it that you see that you can do? And I want to ask both of you that. What is it that you see as far as a program? Because we talked about the Black and Brown community. Not that, we're not, excluding anyone, but our concern is our community, the communities that we reside in. So what type of program, based off of what you said, and then based off of what you suggested, how could we bridge that gap?
Just put them in all the schools. I would put them if we can put them in Homer Glenn, which I teach there. I teach this program.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get certified and teach them. Why is it not in Fairmont?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I could speak to why it's not in Fairmont, because it's very costly.
Mm-hmm.
The unfortunate thing is cost, and we have approached Fairmont in the past about getting an SRO in that school. Because
the SRO.
I'm sorry, school resource officer.
Okay.
Because there are grants available for that, but they can't be written by us as police agencies. They have to be written by the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we used to have an SRO in Fairmont, because there aren't too many unincorporated schools that we do have.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that we do have, we have roving school resource officers. Sorry, I keep wanting to abbreviate because I'm so used to it.
Yeah.
But in Fairmont, we used to have one, and this is going back probably 15 years ago, I'm guessing, something along those lines. And that was a grant-funded position. But when that grant money ran out, the school didn't apply for it again. So, and that's what's happened in some of these other schools where they've applied for grants for funding to help pay for those.
So what you're saying is that for the schools, that if they apply, you would oblige.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because for that position, I mean, it's an expensive, it's very expensive for us to put an officer in these schools, because not only are you paying their salary, you're paying everything else that is attached to it.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
It's definitely worth it.
That was one of the first things I did as a deputy chief, was totally revamp our SRO program, our school resource officer program, because and this was when I right after the Parkland shooting in Florida, when that officer ran from the sounds of gunfire when that happened. I saw that as an opportunity to take the SRO program, school resource officer program, put it under special operations and train our deputies on SWAT tactics, on control the bleed tactics. We wanted to make sure we put tourniquets in all the schools for all of the teachers and the students.
Did you do it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the schools that we have these SROs in, they are trained second to none. They have to most of our deputies qualify once a year on their firearm. They have to qualify 4 times a year. They have special tools and tactics that they're taught specifically just for being in that school. And to me, it's the most important position in our community because our children are our most precious, our most precious items that we have. I have two teenagers. I don't want my kids to ever go to school thinking, hey, is this going to be the last time I see my mom and dad because there's some shooter that comes in. But no one should live like that.
Absolutely.
And I want to ensure the safety of our schools all the time.
So I think I would probably be remiss if I didn't bring this up. So relationship with the county board, because if you guys put this in your budget, then perhaps we wouldn't need a grant. So do you guys plan to have a good relationship with the county board, and would you plan to put something like this within the sheriff's budget?
Absolutely. I mean, I think as a deputy chief at the sheriff's office, I've talked to you many times, right? I've talked to many of the other county board members. It doesn't matter to me if you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. Public safety is at the forefront at the sheriff's office. Public safety is the biggest line item in the county. 42% of the operating expense for the entire county is the sheriff's office. So it's super important to have those relationships with county board members, and the things that I'm always kind of scared though sometimes to approach you guys about, hey, I need $2 million for this program, because that's a big ask, but.
Well, you know what they say, closed mouth don't get fed.
Exactly.
That is true.
Absolutely.
That is true. But it's sometimes it is difficult. But like these positions that are grant funded, that's money we're happy to pay. You know what I mean? Or because in the particular case of the SRO in the village of Homer Glen, that's a contract police. So they're actually paying the county for those services. It's not us. It's not money coming out of our budget for that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I will speak to anyone that will better our communities. I will reach across the aisle, Republican, Democrat. Of course, I'm a Democrat, but if it will better our communities, 110%. That's what it's all about. And I think the county board members want the same. We all live in Will County,
Right.
so we all want to better our communities.
Thank you. All right, ICE cooperation. What is the policy on working with ICE? And when will you cooperate? When will you not? And how will the public know your policy?
Okay, you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. So we have mandates in place. I won't be cooperating with ICE, nor do I want to shift resources from the communities that we're protecting to not have enough deputies to answer the calls and crimes in progress. The only way I would cooperate is if they actually coming under gunfire and calling us for help. But other than going out with them, attaching deputies with them to go serve alleged arrest undocumented, we won't be doing any of that.
Yeah, the Trust Act has essentially handcuffed law enforcement from ever wanting to assist ICE, which is a good thing because our job is not the enforcement of immigration law, right? Our job is to uphold the peace and protect every citizen, no matter what. We're not going to be assisting ICE in any fashion. The one thing I don't, my personal opinion about ICE, I'm bothered by the masks because we don't wear masks
We all are.
as law enforcement professionals, right? I I show my face, Patrick shows his face.
My name tag.
Yeah, we
Doctors
are always fully marked. And, when you see something that doesn't look right, it doesn't, for me as a law enforcement professional, like ICE is setting the field of law enforcement, the professional law enforcement back 10 years right now because of, not because of what they do or what their mission is, but how they do it. It's their tactics.
They're not
Which-
trained.
Yeah, it's you never heard about ICE until 2 years ago, right? There was never a problem with ICE until 2 years ago. So
Yeah, I do not want people in our communities afraid to report a crime because they're allegedly undocumented, a rape, or somebody getting domestically abused. Some of the use of force are very, very concerning. You had one guy who was praying, getting shot in the head with a pepper ball. Some of these shootings are very concerning. I know I would bring any one of my deputies up if they use that type of force on charges. And they would be I would ask for full dismissal.
I think it's the police already have a bad enough image problem
Exactly.
as it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
this
we don't
does
need their
not
help right now.
this does not help at all. It's true. So I think that we all can admit that we don't like those kind of tactics. I think that people should always identify themselves.
absolutely.
And if you can't, then why not?
Yeah.
There must be a reason.
Very proud of the name that's on my uniform, and I'm very proud of the officers that I serve. So why shouldn't I show that to someone?
Yep. Agreed.
And they should be able to file a complaint if I'm out here doing something that is unlawful. And first of all, let's talk about the arresting of them. It's no due process in that, first of all. So they're violating civil rights.
Well, forget about due process. I mean, they don't have probable cause,
Mhm.
right? Like some of the things that I've seen, there is no probable cause. What you can't enforce an IVC law in the state of Illinois as a federal officer. Why are you pulling this car over? It makes zero sense to me. So I mean,
I'm surprised they get people to stop.
Yeah.
Truly.
yeah,
Yeah, I am too.
Truly.
But they don't want to get shot.
Yeah,
right.
That's
Yeah.
that's
The
they
tactics,
don't want
look
to
at the
get shot.
tactics.
That's what it is. Hey, Sherry.
Okay, jail staffing, lockdowns, and programmings. What will you do to address short staffing at the jail, reduce lockdowns, and expand education and rehabilitation programs? Patrick, we can start with you.
Well, as I said, that was one of the platforms that I was running on. And that's why I went to have knowledge about these programs. That's why I went and toured other facilities, because I was afraid, what if they can get access? And you see that the equipment is tied down to their workstation, and there's no way they can use that. We touched on a little bit about that antiquated system of rotating for these people are only getting like maybe 3 weekends a year with their family. Changing that to a 12-hour system, working with the union, saying, hey, we're 30 down, we have lost people to other offices who are doing this system. So that's one of the things. And I think that would stop the lockdowns. We build the population up for the workforce, and then it'll decrease the lockdowns. Unless it's a major incident.
Right.
No.
Right. Okay.
yeah. One of the things that we've been doing, we've changed the standards for our hiring practice. We've changed the standards for our promotional practice. Those are definitely things that are moving in the right direction. Our correctional officers, our supervisors in the jail, they are paid very well. They are one of the top paid departments in the entire state. And with just doing the little things to help maybe attract other individuals, changing different hours, changing different shifts. One of the things, especially one of the things that I've seen in on the civilian side of things, is they have set days. There's no rotating days at all. So if you're long tenured and you pick Saturday, Sunday off, you're off Saturday, Sunday until you decide to retire. I don't think that's fair,
I agree.
right? Like everything should be rotating. Everyone should get a piece of pie. Everyone should have time off. Because, for me as a dad, as a family person, like I want to spend time with my kids. I want to go to baseball games. I want to, I don't want to be tied down every weekend at work. And I think it's very important for us to do those sorts of things. I do think that the programs that we have in right now are sufficient. But I'm also open to the idea of expanding different programs or having different individuals or organizations come in, because it is hard for a sheriff's office our size, especially when we are down 30 people, to start a new program up, because you're going to be taking individuals away from a different pod, especially if you want to go to a 12-hour shift or even a 10-hour shift. You have less people that you're working with as a group, because you have more days off now. Because when you switch to 12-hour shifts, you're off every other weekend. At the end of the day, you're working just a little bit more than half a year, realistically, once you figure out all your days off and vacation and all that kind of stuff. So it is a little bit of a logistical nightmare to do that, but when we're down 30 people, right now it just can't be done. So what we need to do is we need to increase those numbers.
But you know what? When, like most reputable places, when a person leaves, do you do an exit interview? Do you ask them why they're leaving? Because sometimes it's not always about the money. You talked about how you wanted the highest paid, but sometimes it's not about the money.
Right. No, it is.
It's about the convenience. It's about family. They want to spend more time with their family, because they can't get a weekend off to take Sarah to the soccer practice,
right,
or Jerome, to go on a field trip. So do you do an exit interview?
We do. The county itself they have the human resources that they do exit interviews. They send letters out, whether or not they send them out and they get returned 9 times out of 10. I don't know if they are getting returned, but I know in a lot of cases in their resignation letters, there's information put in as to why they're leaving. It seems that the majority of people that are leaving for a better job somewhere else, usually in the law enforcement field.
Mm-hmm. We have lost majority of our population to DuPage County. Mm-hmm. I've talked to several of these deputies that leave, mm-hmm, or other officers, and it's because of the hours.
Mm-hmm. No, a lot of it too
majority of the time is like I was on that schedule. I worked down in the jail for 8 years. Your days rotated for it, and you wouldn't get it. And then being short in population, you're getting mandated. So now you don't spend any time with your family, even more. So, but we got to bring the staffing up, and we should really, really work with the unions on going to 12-hour shifts. I think this would put a halt to everybody leaving to go into an office who are on 12-hour shifts.
Well, and the biggest difference between us and DuPage too is we're a direct supervision jail. Mm-hmm. They are not, right? So they're in an enclosed that it's a much different jail facility, because there is no direct supervision. You're not walking amongst the inmates that are separated by basically brick and glass the entire time. So, for some people that appeals to them as well, because they don't want to have contact with the inmates. When I worked at the jail for about 3 years when I first started, and my first lesson day one was treat everyone like you'd want to be treated yourself. Have conversations with people. Play ping pong. Play basketball. Well, I didn't really play basketball because I'm not a good basketball player. Mm-hmm. So I played pig and horse. But you know what I mean? But I mean, those are the things you can do as a correctional officer to establish these relationships in our jails to make everything work better.
Well, my question is this, because I know the staffing has been down for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, that is your staff. So then if you never get the staff up to where you're going to be, how would you ever implement any programs? I don't see how it would be possible. So you have to work with what you have. And if you don't have, then you may never have.
Right. Well, and that's why I say I think it would be best to have outside agencies, whether it be a non-for-profit, like what we already have right now with the Center for Correctional Concerns, have another organization come in and maybe teach something else, or have some other program to assist our inmate population, because that's not something that really we can accomplish.
Yeah. My organization would be willing to do that.
I know, and I know you reached out. I do know that.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
So we will be willing to do that. We're putting that on the record that we did meet, and we are still open to that. What type of, and it's sort of personal, before we do the closing remarks, what type of rapport do you have with your people at the jail? What if I asked 5 people, about you
Sure.
as far as your demeanor, how you interact with them. You can't say what they will say, but what do you think that they will say?
To be honest, I mean, I haven't worked in the jail in 23 years, 24 years. So a lot of the people that are there realistically don't know me. They don't know Patrick either.
Mhm.
I have several friends down there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But do you ever go down there? I mean, see, that's the thing.
I didn't, prior to this position I'm in now,
Mhm.
I never had a reason to, because it would not be, I'm in charge of special operations. I'm not in charge of the jail.
Mhm.
I don't have my hand in the cookie jar at the jail when it comes to decision making as a deputy chief of special operations. So now as under sheriff, I do have a little bit of a better say, or whether it be policy, whether it be programs, I do have a say in it now, but I didn't before. So I know I didn't go down to the jail specifically because, I knew I was running for sheriff. I didn't want I didn't want it to be I didn't want to force myself onto people. That's me. I want people to know me on a personal level, not as someone trying to coming down here just to say hi to get your vote. That's not me.
Mhm.
So I don't think they can really say a whole lot about me.
I think they'll speak highly of me. I have several friends down there who work down there in command staff. The warden, who is down there currently, he and I went to the corrections academy together. I have several people who are sergeants and lieutenants around there. I was the ERT down there, so, and I still hang out with some of these people. So yeah, I think I'll have a good rapport, and when I become sheriff, we can all work together and making the jail better. I'm very passionate. That's why I started my law enforcement career. So yes.
Why should the people vote for you?
That's me.
Mhm.
Well, I've been at the sheriff's office going on 27 years,
Mhm.
and every stop along the way has helped me prepare for this position. I started my career at the jail. I went to patrol. I became a detective, became a sergeant, became a lieutenant, became a deputy chief, and now I'm the undersheriff. So every step along the way has helped me prepare, whether that be by writing a budget, by writing a grant, by managing people, by managing cases,
Mhm.
by creating programs, by revamping others. I think I'm a graduate of the FBI National Academy. Okay, it's the most elite law enforcement school in the world.
Mhm.
Less than 1% of law enforcement professionals can claim to be a graduate from that academy. I learned a lot there. Prior to me going there, I never really thought much of officers' mental health, because I had a support system in place. My best friend's a Joliet cop, and whenever I had a bad day or whenever he had a bad day, we started at the same time. We went to two different police academies, but whenever we had a bad day, we'd call each other, talk about work, vent,
Mhm.
to get over it, to decompress. A lot of people don't have that in their life, and they need other outlets, whether that be through counseling, whether that be through programs, whether that be just talking to another employee. That's when I really started to take notice of it, was from that particular training. And since then, I've been going to conferences, trying to pick up bits and pieces of different mental health programs or technology that can assist us with that, because there are individuals at our department that need an outlet, that need assistance. That's one of my pillars of my campaign. The others, the grant money, which I've already talked about. Transparency is another one. I truly my history at the sheriff's office didn't start just 26 years ago, right? My dad was an auxiliary deputy over 50 years ago. So I grew up wanting and loving this department, even back then when I was just, that tall.
Okay, good. Okay.
And I did my internship at the Will County Sheriff's Office. So this is my only home. And this is what I care about. And I want to make this office the best it can be. I want to be a leader amongst leaders when it comes to law enforcement in the county, because the office of sheriff is very important, because our job is to protect our rights. Our job is to feel safe when we're out in public, when we're in our communities, and that's what I want to stand for.
Okay.
I've been in the communities for many, many years. I've been volunteering with United Way of Will County for over a decade. I'm part of their executive board. I'm part of other non-police boards of civic organizations that go out into the community and help on a daily basis. This is not
Okay.
something I decided to do
Today.
to
Okay.
run for sheriff. This is something I've been doing for a long time, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of the office.
Okay. Ask you the same question.
So I've been with the sheriff office for over 24 years. And during my tenure at office, I have worked several different divisions. I've also handled several major incidents, from being ambushed by gunfire to negotiating on the side of the road with someone with a pistol to his head. I just talked to this individual about a week ago. He lives in Florida. That's true community policing. I want to go back to my vision. Community, being in the community more. How else can we work? We need to work with people in the community. How else will we know the problems? Truth and transparency. These are things when I first declared I was running. You can hear me talking on a tape, telling you about this. This is not something a political answer. This is what we need. Mental health for police officers. Putting programs down in the jail to reduce recidivism, making our communities better. These are true things that I want to do for the community in Will County. And I believe if I am elected sheriff, that this will help our communities.
So before I let Sherry get ready, the last thing is, first of all, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. They don't care about boards. They don't care about anything. They care about, do you care about me? Period. So my last question is this. Whichever one of you, if one of you got elected, would you be willing to work with each other? Would you be willing to work with each other?
Absolutely.
That's huge.
Youngers, you want to answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I fully support Patrick, if he comes out on top.
110%. And I know it's been rumors that somebody told me, he said you don't think you'll work with him. I'm going to work with him, and I'm telling you on tape. I'm going to work with him, and all the way I'm going to tell him, could we please have programs down there? I'm sorry, I'm just passionate about that. And, I grew up in adverse communities. I saw my first homicide when I was 10. So I just think I don't want to send these people back out into the community to produce more crime, producing a better criminal. And I'll be in his ear all the way. Hey, Dan, it's me again.
Like, Dan, it's us again. Sherry?
Well, I'm happy to hear that both of you would like to implement the voting and registration at the jail, because
Yes.
to me that's very important. And the way that we think is that if they vote when they're inside, they will vote when they're outside.
Yes.
Yep,
And this
absolutely.
is their community. And hopefully, we can make them better while they're at the jail. So I commend both of you for running for office. I know personally it is
Yes,
not an
you
easy
do.
thing.
It is not. No,
It is
no.
not an easy thing, although people think so. And sometimes I think that we're crazy for doing it. But
Yeah.
but I'm happy that at least you guys are willing. You're sticking your neck out, and whoever wins, I commend both of you, and I'll be happy to work with anybody,
Thank
either
you.
of you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Definitely, definitely. We would be your best friend
Mhm.
or your worst enemy.
Well, and I know they know me, so so they know how I do.
Yeah.
She has ambushed me before.
Yeah, she will. She will.
Oh,
She will. Definitely will. Love sharing. Well, thank you all
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
just coming and just sharing your perspective,
Thank
your
We
vision,
appreciate it.
your
Yes.
take on the community, your take on the sheriff's department, then just your take just in general
Thank you.
about what's in your heart.
Yeah.
So we're excited about new leadership that'll be happening at the jail. Absolutely. And we're going to hold you accountable for
Please
the
do.
voting,
Yeah,
for the
you know
voting
what?
registration,
I
because
wouldn't
we will.
I wouldn't want it any
Right,
other way.
you don't want, we will. But we're excited, and I can't wait to see, if it's one of you, you all working together.
Yeah.
because nobody can do this alone.
No.
None of us can do this alone. So we appreciate you all. And again, let me just reiterate that we did invite the other two candidates, and that was Justin Fialco. Hopefully, I'm saying his name
Yep.
correctly. Fialco and James Riley, and we never did get a response from them via email. So thank you all. We
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Thank
Sherry, you had something to say about the women?
Oh, yes. So this March 8th is International Women's Day. And in honor of that, a lot of us women are going to be walking to the polls. So we're going to be meeting at Social Butterfly on Ottawa Street at 2 p.m. Please come and join us and we'll walk over and vote together.
Yes, and what's the date?
It is March 8th.
March 8th. So now men are invited too.
Yes,
Men are invited too. But this is for the ladies.
Right.
Yes. So thank you all again. We appreciate it. We're
Thank
looking
you.
forward to it. And most of all, get out and
And vote.
vote.
Yes.
Get out and vote.
March
Thank you all.
17th.
Yes,
Yeah.
March 17th. It is early voting going on now. So
Yes,
get out
yes,
and vote
yes.
now. Don't wait till the last day, the last moment to
And-
vote.
And don't trust the mail.
Don't
Nice.
trust. Get out if you can. It's been nice out. Get out and just
Yes.
come to the county building. You can vote right there. It takes all of 10 or 15 minutes. Then it's open on the weekends now too through election. So
And March 2nd
Mhm.
is early voting in other locations throughout the county. So
wonderful,
there's going to be a bunch of other locations.
wonderful, and they can look that information up on the clerk's website,
Yes.
Will County Clerk's website. All the information is there. Thank you all so much.
Thank
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Sherry Williams. I'm Will County Board Member, District 5. I'm here today to encourage everyone to get out and vote. The primary election this year is March 17th, 2026, which is St. Patrick's Day. And we cannot stress how important voting is for everyone, especially on the local level. Local elections have been won or lost by 1 or 2 votes. So when you say your vote doesn't matter, it really, really does. And it's the local elections that affect you directly. Not that the national elections aren't important, they are. But this is something that we can do for us here at home. A lot of the local elected officials are your neighbors and your friends. So I encourage everyone to get out and vote March 17th, 2026, and early voting has already started. So you can find your early voting place at the Will County Clerk's office. And thank you.
As we conclude this candidates forum, I want to thank each of the candidates for taking the time to participate and share their perspectives. Speak Up and Vote is committed to ensuring that the disenfranchised and underrepresented communities have access to information, because informed voters make informed decisions. And if you're out there watching this, we encourage you to do your research, review the candidates and their positions, and most importantly, make a plan to vote. Because democracy works best when everyone participates. Your voice matters. Your vote matters. And thank you for tuning in.